All right. Hello again. Welcome back. We're working our way along here. So we have moved this piston over by 1/2 of an interval. And so the next place to move it to from the shift by 1/2 is to shift it by 3/4. So we'll go up here and turn off shift by 1/2, turn on shift by 3/4. And we'll line it all up so that we can see how it looks. And we had the power at 50/50 because this piston transceiver channel was located halfway in between these two cylinder wall transceiver positions. But this is not completely correct anymore. And so let's go turn off this transceiver power and we'll take a look in here. So what is happening is piston wall transceiver number 1 has a very much open door into cylinder wall transceiver E, and piston wall transceiver 1 has pretty much not much of an open door at all over here on F. And so the situation where F was getting most of the power and E was getting very little, as we shifted this piston over, now F is not getting very much power and E is getting a lot of it. E is not getting full power. There's a doorway closure shown here, but E is getting a lot more power than F. And so we can go over here to try to show this by bringing our F transceiver power down to 1/4, and our E transceiver power goes up to 3/4. So as we moved over the piston transceiver 1, the F cylinder wall transceiver F that was receiving half power has been brought down to 1/4 power. F went from 1/2 power down to 1/4 power because this doorway is starting to close. There's just almost nothing there. And the cylinder wall transceiver E, which was also at 1/2 power, here, is now brought up to 3/4 power. Because this doorway is opening up even more. And so once again, we have moved over the piston inside the cylinder, and as we move the piston inside the cylinder, piston transceiver 1 has, when it communicates with cylinder wall transceiver F and cylinder wall transceiver E, the value of the amount of power that these cylinder wall transceivers is receiving has changed. And remember, the cylinder wall transceiver F has the capability to identify itself as F, and E can identify itself as E, and G can identify itself as G, and A can identify itself as A, etc. And in addition to that, the piston transceiver number 2 can identify itself as 2, and piston transceiver number 1 can identify itself as number 1. And so if there was someone who was trying, or some piece of the processing, the electronic central processing unit, trying to figure out what's going on here, there's absolutely no reason why the central processing unit could say, hey, piston transceiver 1, what's cooking down here? Piston transceiver 1 says, well, everything's fine, I'm okay. Well, what do you got? Well, I got a transmission that's being picked up by transceiver F, and I have a transmission that's being picked up by transceiver E. And then the central processing unit could go if it wanted to and say, hey, transceiver F, what you got there? And transceiver F would say, well, I'm in communication with piston wall transceiver 1, but I'm not getting very much. It's a little bit of power. And then it goes and says, okay, thank you. And now a piston transceiver E, well, what do you got cooking? And cylinder wall transceiver E would say, well, I'm talking to piston wall transceiver 1, and I'm getting a pretty good amount of power here. This is easy to do because they all are microelectronic processor controlled, uniquely identified transceiver structures.